We have many words for where we lay our dead. Burial grounds, memorial parks, graveyards, cemeteries. Graveyard and cemetery are the most common, often used interchangeably, but their origins and meanings are different, reflecting how our relationship with death has changed. Graveyards evoke images of old stones beside churches, intimate, ancient. Cemeteries suggest vast planned landscapes, modern, orderly. These differences aren't just about language, they reveal shifts in society, faith, and public health. Once, the dead rested close to the living, just outside church walls. As cities grew, burial moved farther away, and new words followed. The journey from graveyard to cemetery is a story of changing customs and needs. Understanding these words helps us appreciate how we honor the dead. Let's explore where these terms came from and what they mean. We'll see how location, religion, and health shaped our burial grounds. By the end, you'll see that graveyards and cemeteries mark two distinct chapters in our history of saying goodbye. The words we use carry the weight of centuries. Let's dig into their story. Graveyards are deeply tied to churches. For centuries, Christians were buried in churchyards, the land surrounding the church. A graveyard is, by definition, a burial ground attached to a church. The word itself comes from Old Germanic roots, graben, to dig, and gardon, enclosure. The dead remain part of the community, close to the living and the sacred. Wealthy parishioners might be buried inside the church, others just outside. These grounds were considered holy, offering spiritual protection even in death. Graveyards were small, often crowded, with headstones placed wherever space allowed. The image of an old church surrounded by leaning stones is classic. These spaces were woven into daily life. Children played among the graves and families walked through them to worship. The names on the stones were those of neighbors and kin. Graveyards were living records of the community's past. They kept the dead close, a constant reminder of life's cycle. In graveyards, history was written in stone. As cities grew, graveyards became overcrowded and posed health risks. The need for safer, larger burial grounds led to the creation of cemeteries. Cemeteries were planned, often built on city outskirts, away from homes and water sources. The word cemetery comes from the Greek koimeterion, a tari, a sleeping place. Early cemeteries like Père Lachaise in Paris were designed as beautiful park-like spaces. They welcomed people of all faiths, not just one parish. Cemeteries became places for reflection with winding paths, trees, and monuments. Families could buy large plots for generations. These spaces were not just for the dead, but for the living to visit, remember, and find peace. The cemetery movement spread quickly, changing how societies honored their dead. Cemeteries reflected a new, more inclusive and organized approach to burial. They became cities of the dead, just outside the cities of the living. The cemetery was a response to practical needs, and a new vision of remembrance. It marked a turning point in our rituals of loss. The main difference between graveyards and cemeteries is location. Graveyards are always attached to churches, serving a specific parish. Cemeteries are standalone, often on the edge of towns, and open to all. Graveyards are older, smaller, and often appear haphazard, with worn stones clustered together. Cemeteries are newer, larger, and carefully planned, with neat rows and landscaped grounds. Graveyards reflect a time when burial was a community affair, tied to faith and tradition. Cemeteries reflect a shift to secular, inclusive spaces for remembrance. In graveyards, plots were used as space allowed. In cemeteries, family plots became common. Cemeteries are designed for generations, with clear sections and markers. The look and feel of each space tell their own story. Graveyards are intimate, historic, and rooted in the church. Cemeteries are expansive, orderly, and designed for a changing society. These differences show how our customs adapt to new realities. The evolution from graveyard to cemetery mirrors changes in belief, health, and community. Each space reflects the values of its time. The difference between graveyard and cemetery is more than a matter of words. It's a story of how we adapt our rituals to changing times. Graveyards kept the dead close, woven into the daily life of a faith-based community. Cemeteries moved burial to dedicated, beautiful spaces, reflecting urban growth and new ideas about health and remembrance. Today, the terms often blur, but their origins matter. They remind us how we've balanced tradition and progress in honoring the dead. Whether in a churchyard or a vast cemetery, these places serve the same need to remember. They are landscapes of memory, filled with stories of families and communities. They invite us to reflect on our own lives and those who came before. The next time you visit a place of rest, see it as a chapter in our ongoing story of remembrance. The words we use connect us to centuries of change. In every graveyard and cemetery, history lives on.